I did not expect from this episode of anything was the lore. Welcome back to a wonderful review of Wonderful Precure, and I am happy to say there is not a singular filler episode in this series, because what was going to be an unassuming crossover episode has turned out to be one of the most unique and modern takes I've seen on the Precure formula. Starting off strong, we have this character, this bird. This bird is constantly going to all of the girls that they know are Precure and attempting to get them to help. Like, this reoccurring bird is like one of the smartest characters in the series. Like, I think we've had moments before where the birds have been very communicative, that like something's up with the garu. But this one's like working overtime trying to find somebody who will help. Unfortunately, our gang is not the most intelligent gang under the sun. Like, Komugi, you speak animal. The bird needs help. Why are we not helping the bird? Oh, sweet summer children. Now, the theme of this episode is, once again, lying. We have had this reoccurring issue with Iroha the entire series where she just cannot lie. She's not good at it. It's not her thing. It's not working out. And some series will take this with magical girls and be like, listen, you just gotta get over that. Like, you at the end of the day, it's going to suck and lying is wrong, but you're a magical girl and we need to keep the secrets. Like, you have the struggle from, like, Miraculous Ladybug, where so much of the series is Marinette dying over the fact that she has to tell all these secrets, and it's very hard for her, and it makes her life miserable, but they're like, that's just kind of the part of the job. Not with Iroha. This series puts its foot down. This girl cannot lie. She cannot lie well. And it's causing her a lot of, like, it's very comedic about it. It takes it from an angle of, like, yeah, no, she is just bad at lying. It's not that, like, she's bad at lying, she's bad at lying. To the point where even her mom is like, something's up, something's going down, something's happening, and I'm suspicious. It becomes common in magical girl series, especially any kind of superhero series, really, that the characters are trying to keep a secret and everyone else around them is just dense and kind of never really picks up on the fact that there's some kind of secret afoot. And as a viewer, you just get used to it. You're just like, yeah, any of the adults in the series will never know about the secret. Any of the friends will never know about the secret. There'll be a dumb fight about the secret, probably. It's become commonplace, and it's very refreshing. Like, honestly, it caught me off guard that her mom was like, I can easily tell you're lying. Like, I mean, I know she's lying, but usually people don't. I'm not used to this level of perception. But we also talk about the other half of this episode that's really important. Like, lying is a huge part of it, but the other half of it is, like, actually making ground on the plot. I am so happy about this. I'll bring it up, like, multiple times over. I have been a little dissatisfied with the fact that a lot of, specifically Precure seasons, have saved the story to, like, the last 5 episodes of the show, which is frustrating to me. Like, I get they want to stay character-focused, but the lore is, like, the best part of a show. Having, like, a very creative lore, having a plot twist, like, executing it well over 50 episodes. Like, these shows they have so many episodes. You can just little nuggets of knowledge over the course of 50 episodes. Why do we have to save it for the last 5? But here, lo and behold, let's go Wonderful Precure. We have the Mirror Stone. And we have the characters acknowledging the importance of the Mirror Stone, as well as the fact that it's just, like, we have a magical item in town that's got, like, spooky magic lore. And our group is making deductions. They're solving it. We quite literally have Satoru make the connection that it's the Mirror Stone and our girls got mirror packs. And is making all these connections of, like, it's very interesting that these packs are also mirror-based. Which is the other thing that's kind of nice about the lore in this series, is that normally the items that the character use with transformation or for weapons and everything tend to not really have, like, they tend not to be related too much to a real world item. They're just usually vaguely in theme, if anything. It's nice that literally both of the items this season have had real world equivalents. The Wonderful Pact came from the Mirror Stone. We saw that when we had the little tiny smooth stones and they turned into the Wonderful Pacts. And the Friendly Tacks are based off the leash. Like, they're all coming from real-world items that have huge significance for either the story or the characters, and I really like that level of integration. It's really good design, because, like, the other problem you would have is that they're based off something that's real, and then they'd have ugly designs, or, like, you'd be kind of boxed into a weird design. But the Friendly Tact, despite it being leash-based, is not overly leash-looking by any means. But the connection's really nice, and I like that. And of course, then we have our little crossover bit. I believe also for Crayon Shin-chan that the crossover that happened in that episode was brief. I think it was all of maybe like 5 minutes, and they did the transformation in that one. So if you are interested in seeing the like Crayon Shin-chan version of the transformation for all 4 of these characters, there is that version out there. But for the most part, this is just kind of Iroha once again accidentally spilling the beans, or mostly Komugi spilling the beans, and it just being okay. Like, having the secret out there is not like the end of the world. I think it's just to kind of vaguely shove in the Crayon Shin-chan characters, and then also have the theme of the episode and lying and all that just be relevant. This whole bit kind of felt a little superfluous, if I'm being completely honest. It just felt like they were kind of shoehorning 2 things in together. There's not a lot of like super real world equivalence with the whole lying bit on this, because there's not too many things in the real world where kids are gonna be like, I have this uber important like saving the world secret that I have, but it's really hard to tell other people. Most of the time, if kids are lying about something, it's they've done something wrong. You've like broken something, you broke a rule. There's not a lot of like, this is a good lie, like I have to keep my secret identity. It's just not something that's super common with kids, which is one of the reasons why a lot of series won't bother tackling it being wrong to lie. Because it's not, again, there's not many lies that kids are going to have that's like, it's a good lie. But ultimately, this pushes Iroha to talk to Mei and say, listen, I want to just tell people. And more specifically, it's just like the people like her parents. Like, the one downside to it is that I'm glad that she's wanting to tell more people, specifically like her family, but I don't feel like it's really worth it to sit here and just like tell everybody at school and the whole town know and all that. So Mei kind of goes in the direction of like, yeah, we don't tell people. That's like the whole bit. Like, Nico-sama is going to be real cross with us if we just keep telling people. And we get this very goofy, silly rendition of Mei pretending to be a sheep. Only for it to backfire, and the secret is out. Honestly, I was like a little surprised that we ultimately did tell the parents. I knew that was like going to be something that might happen in this episode, but you know, shout out to them just going for it. We're back to our bird though. They are trying so hard to get someone's attention to be like, listen, I got a situation, probably gotta related. And I mean, I found this actually kind of useful for Yuki's character, because I was like, is she even gonna help? I know that Komugi and Iroha were just being dinguses and like couldn't understand what the bird was trying to convey to them. But on the front of Yuki, she would be somebody who genuinely wouldn't help, because all she cares about is Mayu. She does not care about this bird. She does not care about anybody else. So I was kind of curious what she was going to do. So back here, we go back to the family and we start to discuss the situation and explain that Komugi can talk, which now I do like that they layer the secret. I feel like it's very similar to what they do in Madoka Magica, where there's so many different layers to the secrets that are unveiled in the series. And they definitely kind of like slice those up into pieces and then tackle them in different episodes and tackle them in different ways. For this, I like that they're tackling that Komugi can talk, and then they ultimately begin to tackle that Komugi can become a human, but they don't tackle Precure. That's the one thing that's nice, is that Mei ultimately does keep the Precure bit still a secret from the parents, which is nice. It's just under the pretense of we're helping the animals, but we don't need to tell them the full story. Which, you know, you kind of get your cake and eat it too. We have the secret revealed, but at the same time we're still keeping the other big secret to it. We still get the superhero secret. But Komugi being able to communicate and hang out with the family is great. My only pet peeve with this is that I wish we had just told the parents sooner if we were going to bother telling the parents, because we had the chaotic whole bit where it's like the gym in the Nico garden granted Komugi the ability to go to school and like filed the paperwork. And I was like, if we were going to tell the parents would have done that. That would have been the parents' role to get Komugi into school. So it's weird that we just like had to be like, we're gonna tell the parents later, but for now we're just gonna settle for the big gym in the sky fixing the problems. It was very weird. But we get into what I did not expect from this episode of anything, was the lore. I'm just so happy we got the lore. I'm glad that the characters made the connection with the Mirror Stone, but I thought that was about as much as was going to happen, because the audience already knew that. We already knew that the Mirror Stone was relevant, but the characters hadn't known that, and it was nice for them to know. I didn't realize they were going to take that even further, and the parents are like, yeah, we've got the sick backstory of the town ready to go. Let's do it. With this also very, very cool sequence where they use like this mirror stone texture for the entire sequence, which is very cool, if anybody, you know, picked up on that. They do this like neon glowy outline for all of the characters. Kind of reminds me of like those little scratchers that you had as a kid. And it's just, the backstory imagery is really, really nice. It's unique. I love it. And now we get into where I will actually talk about the leaks. I'm going to put a little leak spoiler here for anybody who does not want to hear anything about the leaks, because there's a small leak that makes this very interesting, which is, now that we've been warned, the final Chitin animal. The Chitin animal that was leaked, that was not part of the set that we saw when the website came up or the announcement of the merchandise. There is another one where we do see the design for a cute little unicorn. Now, I myself and a lot of other people had made the connection that this unicorn is very likely Nico-sama. And this almost completely confirms that. Like, they talk about the fact that an animal god imbued the Mirror Stone with magic and helped bring peace between humanity and animals. And they show this imagery of a unicorn. So the chances of Nico-sama being the unicorn feel like they're almost there, with the exception of this interesting wolf we have on the left. As we know from what we've seen so far in the series, there is a wolf that is controlling the Garu. So we very likely have a display of our good versus evil. Like, we've got our depiction of our big bad and have them tied into this backstory, which, again, Hirogaru Sky did a sequence like this where they talked about Kier Noble before they revealed who Kier Noble was, but they never talked about the antagonists, and they never talked about the Undurg Empire in Hirogaru Sky Precure. But here we have depictions of characters. We have what could be our bad and what could be our good, which is nice. And it makes more sense that, once upon a time, the wolf and Nico-sama were potentially allies, but eventually war broke out and things went awry. And ultimately, we see that Nico-sama decided to basically shut off the power to the Mirror Stone. The only other theory that could also go in here would be that Nico-sama is the wolf and that the unicorn is just some other individual that has been unnamed thus far. I think that's less likely to be the case. But I think it would be pretty cool if Nico-sama was still, the evil wolf, having turned their back on, the Nico Garden for whatever reason, or, ultimately deciding to use their Nico Garden to to fight humans. I still think that would be a cool twist, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think it's much more likely that Nico-sama is the unicorn. Also, just to put it out there, a lot of people have also theorized that whoever this unicorn was to be, that they're likely to be the mid-season. I'm gonna put this down. I think that if Nico-sama is revealed to be a girl, because I don't believe we know their gender, if Nico-sama is revealed to be a girl and is that unicorn, I think there is a strong likelihood that they are the mid-season character. But if they are a boy, I'm gonna say it. Ironically enough, I think that makes me have more hope for my Delulu belief that we are going to get Satoru and Daifuku. I'm going to stay on this train forever. I want them to be the mid-season so bad. So bad. I don't want this random unicorn to be our mid-season. But there's always the chance. I'm like, we already had a mid-season unicorn. We don't need another one. But back to the bird. Yuki does ultimately opt to help out the bird, who is revealed to have an egg in their nest. And this is honestly one of the oddest garu we deal with, because Yuki rolls up and she's like, hey, you're a little too close to my house. Stay away from Mayu. Get out of here. And it's like, yeah, sure, bye. Whatever you say, queen. And the garu just leaves. And Yuki was like, good. This is the most nothing burger confrontation I've ever seen. And then we, get into the actual fight of the episode. I will say a lot of this, oh no, the parakeet garu flies, which, mind you, I thought it was a parrot. This is the first time they've got me being like, what is the animal? They're like, it's a parakeet. I'm like, it comes off like a parrot to me, but whatever. But we do have a moment that reminds me, Hirogaru Sky keeps coming up a lot in this episode, but we play out very similarly to a certain other Precure when he became a Precure of, oh no, the enemy is too far away in the sky and we're trying to jump, but we can't reach them. So we're gonna fall down in a very comedic way. In this one, it's a very comedic way. It was much more dramatic for Precure Wing. And we use the next Chitin animal, the fawn. I gotta give it to the superpowers for the Chitin animals, because I guess fawn can jump good. They're definitely mixing it up with what each of the Chitin animal abilities can do, because that's certainly not where I would have paired it. Thinking back on it, the rabbit was speed, but also I'm like, rabbits can jump pretty high. I don't think there's a kangaroo Chitin animal, but anyways, this is what it ends up being. I'm slowly losing my love for the Chitin power-ups. Maybe it's because they all have really ugly shoes. But yeah, we take care of the parakeet. It comes back to normal. It's cute. And the family's pretty understanding about it. Like, the dad is supportive. He is caught off completely caught off guard for this entire situation, but he's very supportive. The mom slides that she's like, yeah, I had a feeling that stuff was going on, but she's the kind of mom who's like, when you want to tell me, like, you know, when you're comfortable, you can communicate it with me. I'm not going to sit here and badger you about it. Which I think is very sweet. I think a lot of Precure mothers tend to be this direction, and I like it. I love this kind of personality of like, I want to make sure you're comfortable if you have something that you feel like you can't tell me. And then we have our little setup for the next episode, which is going to be a very Mayu Yuki episode, given that this one had less of them, but there was more of them last episode. With Mayu just kind of relaying that she now is aware that Kumugi and Iroha's parents are aware, and just kind of putting out there her own sort of awkward feelings towards it all, and her feeling like she wishes she could do more, and we will see what that more is in the next episode. As well as once again showcasing that the Mirror Stone be mirror stoning. I do want to put out there my crack theory for this though, is that Nico-sama is inside the Mirror Stone, and at some point we'll fight and we'll accidentally break the Mirror Stone, and poof, there's Nico-sama. They were in the stone all along. I don't know. Goofy, silly theory to have. And that is it for this episode of Wonderful Precure. I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you guys enjoyed like where this show is going so far. I know some people have had mixed emotions about certain decisions that they've made so far, but like the story, like I'm so glad that we're back with a strong story. Other seasons have been so phenomenal in other departments, but it's nice to have a season that really wants to tell a story. As well as, again, the amount of like interaction between the characters. It feels like there's a group, but it also feels like each character is their own person with their own story. I'm just super happy with where the season is going. I think it's very solid in every other department outside of like the fights. I think it's so tight in other areas that I want, like, what are important to me in a show. My number one thing will always be good plot. I like a good story, and I'm happy to see that. I cannot wait until the next episode, so I will see you then.